OK, well, let's keep you up to date with the cost of living saga. And people, there's no doubt, are bracing themselves for another huge rise in energy bills when the next cap takes effect in October.
Yeah, energy consultancy Cornwall Insight expects the next price cap increase to result in the average tariff jumping to nearly £2,600. That's about another 600 quid on top of what we're already paying.
Yeah, well, no doubt there are going to be lots of demonstrations about this right across the country today over that intensifying cost of living crisis.
Well, let's talk to Linda Finlow, who's a GBNews viewer and a Conservative supporter who joins us now. Linda, it's really good to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us on the programme. Look, what do you make of how this has been handled? As a Conservative voter, do you think the government has actually done what it should have done here?
Oh dear, it's a really hard question to answer. They've had their hands tied, haven't they? We've had an unprecedented couple of years. We always knew that this money was going to have to be paid back, and now we've got to that point where something's got to give. We've got to pay this money back. We just can't go on forever.
But we've also got to live, haven't we?
The government intervening all the time.
Does it worry you?
I'm worried. I'm lucky to be working full time. I'd be much more worried if I wasn't working. Much more worried. I can cope at the moment. I'm making little savings here and there. I'm turning my appliances off at night. Not just turning them off, I'm unplugging them. If I leave a room, I turn the light off. I'm wearing an extra layer of clothing. All these little things mount up.
It's interesting you say, you'd be more worried if you weren't working. Totally get that.
Yeah.
And as you say, our pot is comparatively running dry as far as Rishi Sunak is concerned. But what about those people who are, even before the rises yesterday, were already at rock bottom financially? I mean, the big argument is really urgently more needs to be done to help them.
Yeah, well, up until the 31st of March, there was something called the Household Support Fund, and I don't know whether anybody even knew about this. And if you were struggling for heating or eating or simply paying your bills, you could apply to your local council for cash or vouchers to tide you along. It was something that I don't think you had to pay back. Unfortunately, that avenue is now closed, but I think that should be opened again. It's got to be 50% of it has got to be to families with children, and then it's people who have disabled people in the home or somebody that needs extra heating. I think that sort of thing is a good thing. Nobody knew about it. I didn't know about it until I went to the Conservative conference and I heard Rishi Sunak comment on it. But, I have to defend the government here. We knew this money would have to be paid back. There would be a reckoning. And now that reckoning has come. We've got to ourselves be as fiscally responsible as we can be. That's easy enough to say, but we've all got to play our part.
Yeah, it just seems to so many people that it's all come at once. Yes, you're right. We all knew that a lot of the money, that the reckoning was going to happen. And now we hear that the price could be hiked again of energy in October. It makes it a very bleak outlook, though, doesn't it?
It does indeed. And I'm not decrying anybody that's struggling. It's horrible. I've been there myself. But I got an email from my energy provider and it said, we're putting your direct debit up, and it was 120% increase.
Wow.
So I wrote to them. I said, I'm sorry, I don't agree with this. I don't want you to do this. I want you to keep my payments as they are, which is manageable. I refuse to be made to choose between heating and eating. I'm not going to tell you which energy provider it was because that's not fair. They wrote back and said, OK, we will keep your direct debit as it is for the moment. So there's a bit of a reprieve there. I suggest most people get in touch with their energy suppliers and say, I'm not happy with this. I can't pay it. I want my direct debit to be as it was, which is manageable.
Can I just ask you about the green levy on these energy bills? Because, I mean, the government hasn't shown any signs of moving on that, but a lot of people are saying that could make an immediate and significant difference. Do you think the green levy should go, even if only temporarily?
Personally, I do. When I went to the conference in October last year, it was green this, green that, and it was, I thought it was a bit depressing. So I think you can thank Ed Miliband for this green levy. This was his idea. I don't think now is the right time to be adding this to our bills. I think it's either got to go permanently or it's got to be put on the back burner for now.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think a lot of people are going to rethink their green credentials, I think, because they're just a bit too difficult to take at the moment. Linda, it's fascinating talking to you, and I do think what's very interesting lesson maybe for all of us is not to necessarily just take it. To write to contact your energy provider and have a protest about it and see what they say. Don't automatically just take the fact that it's going to go up by that much.
Yeah.
Well done, you.
Well, it's a reprieve and it may be temporary, but it gives me a breathing space.
Yeah.
I know that something's coming along in October, but for now, I've just got a bit of breathing space to keep my direct debit as it is. It's higher than I want it to be, but at the moment, it's just manageable. But going up 120% would have been absolutely a no-go for me.
Absolutely. No-go for you.
Yeah, Linda Finlow, really appreciate you talking to us this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank
It's nice to talk to you.
The only issue with that is, of course...
If we all do it.
Well, no, but it's just if the prices are going up that much, then effectively you are going to build up a debt.
Yes. Breathing space.
But it is that breathing space which maybe will allow you to sort of sort your finances out a bit more and prioritise.
I tell you what was also interesting that Linda said is that she's already turning appliances off, but not just turning them off, pulling them out. And apparently we do waste an awful lot of energy on standby. And we've spoken about this before, but we've sort of forgotten it for the last few years. And I think maybe we need
the little red
thing, and we leave chargers plugged in all the time. Are they using up energy when you're not actually charging something?
I don't know.
I don't know, but there are little gizmos you can get. But there are gizmos you can get for actually watching how you're burning electricity.
Oh, yeah, well, the smart meters like that, yeah. But, of course...
Again, I've got one that I haven't plugged in yet.
Yeah, no, the smart meters are quite useful, but, of course, they take energy to run.
Themselves. Great.
I mean, not a lot.
Yeah, but they do show you where you're using things.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we've just got to be a bit also... We've got to be more savvy.
When you put the washing machine on and see it all jump up. And,
it really does, does it?
Yeah. Shows how much you're spending per day and all that sort of thing.
Don't wash. Don't wash.
I'll remind you of that next week when I come in stinking.
Yeah, thank you.
Look, keep your thoughts coming through. Love to hear them. gbviews@gbnews.uk.